Herzlich willkommen, liebe Kollegen, zu unserem ersten Planungswebinar, bei dem ich ganz kurz
Welcome, colleagues, to our first planning webinar. I would like to explain how we do patient planning at the Swiss Biohealth Clinic, how we select the implants, how we transfer that to a list to always have the right implants in the right amount for the surgery. What you see here is a PowerPoint presentation I prepared for you. Up here you see the implants for the maxilla and the mandible in different shapes and sizes, then the symbols that we use for temporary cavitation, external internal sinus lift, and down here a list for 1 and 2 piece implants. And the green areas here are the available shapes that you can plan so that you have enough implants for your surgery. Let's take a look at a case I would like to plan together with you today, so that you understand what kind of implants are used and for which reason and what sense it makes. We start with tooth 1-4. And we, of course, use a one-piece implant. I frequently use the balcony 3.8 times 11 or 14. We go into the palatinal route. The vestibular route is often very far vestibularly. So here you see that the image is turned by 90 degrees. It's just that you see the implant shape better. So we go into the palatinal route, and after having inserted the PRF membrane, we turn the balcony vestibularly. This is a variant I used to do very frequently in the past. Today, to be honest, I would rather plan to use a 4.6 balcony. The advantage is that I have a more stable implant and I can put it in the middle of the double alveole of the upper tooth number 4. So the advantage for the 4.6 implant is that the tulip width has also 6 millimeter transversely, but mesiodistally it is reduced to 4.6, so we have an oval shape. And here once again it is turned by 90 degrees so that you see the shape. You can use a 14 millimeter implant very well. We are in the static area, and this is why we use an implant that is made of one piece. So here we plan 4.6 one piece, oval shape, 14 millimeters. As a reserve, in case we have the sinus a bit earlier, we plan an 11 millimeter as well, just to be on the safe side, and also a 3.8 balcony 14 millimeters that we could use for the palatinal route. So we planned this implant and also planned the reserve. Now we go to the second implant, 2-4, almost the same situation. But here, in this case, we have less space, so maybe we use an 11 implant, or we plan for an external sinus lift. We mark it by drawing this curve in here. And we keep in mind also when we do the cost estimate that we might have a sinus lift here. Of course, in this case, it could also be a 3.8 balcony 11 or 14 or a 4.6 oval shape 11 or 14. So this means I go down here and add one implant respectively. Then I go to the implant for 5, where we are limited downwards. So in the premolar area, the root is always quite wide, so I cannot plan a 3.8, but go to mandible 4.6 times 11 or 14 oval shape.
So einzeichnen und wenn wir das 3D schon kennen, dann wissen wir, ob wir 11 oder 14 in dem Fall.
So we put this implant here like this.
Diese Situation als
And if you know the 3D, then you know if it's 11 or 14, but so far I do not know, because I only have the OPG for the planning. So in this case, I add one implant here.
Kommen wir zu dem Frontzahn 4.1. Das wird sehr, sehr sicher ein
for the respected alternatives.
Implantat.
Now the 4.1 front tooth. This will surely be a one-piece implant, standard 3.2 times 14. Doesn't make sense to use size 11 here, so we don't need to plan that from my point of view, because we always want to have the maximum stability for the situation. So I adapt the size now. Put it here. So it's a one-piece implant, standard 3.2 times 14, maybe as an alternative also 11, but you would always try to use the 14 here. Now the last implant that we plan, 3.6, this will also be a balcony. In this case, since it's not in the aesthetics area, or if we remove the filling here, then I could also take a one-piece implant. That depends on your planning. I would use a two-piece implant, in this case this one here.
Das heißt, voraussichtlich gehen wir in die palatinale Wurzel.
And put it at the right spot down here. Presumably we go to the palatinal route, but it cannot be predicted safely. So I use the pilot burr in this and in that route and see if it works out. The implant we use here, depending on the distance to the nerve, it will be 4.6 times 11. Or a 4.6 times 14. I'm sorry, this was the wrong place to put it, because in this case it's two-piece. And as a reserve, I would say 5.4 balcony, 11 millimeters. Just in case we have a larger defect that is actually not to be expected in this situation. Now, how do I finalize the planning? I have selected my implants. Now I would like to show you how we finalize that in the Swiss BioHealth Clinic. What I do next, I draw the later crown. In this case, no filling means no temporary. This is what the dotted line stands for. In this region, front tooth area, we will use a temporary. It will be glued to the two neighboring teeth. This is why I select the light blue color. And in this case, I would assume that this filling needs to be supplemented. Here we have a blocked temporary then. That covers these two teeth. In the right maxilla, the fillings look quite old to me. If the patient is
Und
okay with it,
hier
we
über die
would
beiden
also do
Nachbarzähne
a
mit
temporary
Oxygenation versorgen. Links oben gehe ich jetzt mal davon aus, dass die Füllungen nicht erneuert werden
create a very
müssen, rein
stable
aus
situation.
praktischen Gründen. Das heißt, ich zeige
So
Ihnen mal
we would use a
Positionen
Luxatem
ein,
temporary
das
also for the two
dann
neighboring
später
teeth.
an den beiden
On the
Nachbarzähnen
other
Ästhetik.
maxilla side,
Hier ebenfalls ist ein Keramikimplantat
I
wäre mit
don't think that the
Säure
other fillings have to be renewed,
ergänzt
so
werden.
I just do
In dem
the
Fall würde ich
temporary
noch
here
die
on
beiden
the implant
oberen
and I would glue
Weisheitszähne
them to the neighboring teeth.
entfernen, die hier
In this case,
keinerlei Sinn
I would
machen,
also
oder relativ
remove
wenig Sinn
the
machen. Wir
two
sehen das
upper
hier, hier
wisdom
kaum
teeth
Kontakt. Es fehlen zwar oben die
because
Prämolaren.
they
Ich persönlich würde die
have almost no
voraussichtlich
purpose
entfernen,
here.
aber das
So
ist
you
dann
see,
Diskussionsgrundlage.
premolars are
Patienten,
missing,
falls
but
das
in this
für den
case,
Patienten
my personal
auf
opinion
jeden
is
Fall
that
hier
I would
sehr
remove the
deutlich
wisdom
die
teeth, but
Kosten
you need to discuss that with the
allen vier
patient.
Arealen, die wir entsprechend
We
dieser
see nicus in all four areas here
einzeichnen.
that we mark in red.
Hier vermutlich sogar
Here, this
sehr
is
groß.
presumably a big
Sobald
one.
wir ein DVT haben, können
When
wir
we have the
das noch
CBCT,
genauer abklären, aber man
we
kann
can
hier
see it
etwa
more clearly,
ahnen,
but you can
groß
guess here that
die
the
entsprechend
nicus are quite
sind.
big.
Ja, das wäre so
Yes,
die
this would
Situation,
be
wie
the
wir diesen
planning
Fall
for our
durchplanen würden,
patient.
den
We would
Patienten wirklich so
transfer that to
übermitteln,
the
und das
patient,
wäre
and this is also
unser
our order form for
Bestellformular
the
für die
implant
Auswahl
selection to prepare
und
the
die
implantation.
Implantation
So I would
vorzubereiten.
like to say
Damit
goodbye
möchte
to
ich mich von
you.
Ihnen verabschieden.
After
In
our
unserem
first
nächsten
planning webinar,
Planungswebinar
we will have some more
weitere werden
webinars
an dieser
in
Stelle folgen.
the
Vielen
future.
Dank.
Thank you.